It's 2 p.m., you're delivering a high-quality lesson, and you look out to see a room full of glazed-over eyes. As a teacher, your first instinct is usually to grip the podium a little tighter and just push through those last few slides. That instinct comes from a long-standing assumption in education. If you want to build a skill, you need active, repeated manipulation of the material. To learn a math formula or a new language, you drill it over and over again without stopping. But the human body has a biological barrier that actively works against continuous drilling. It's called cognitive fatigue, a physical exhaustion of the brain that sets in when we force sustained attention for too long. This graph shows how fatigue degrades academic performance as the school day progresses. For every hour later, test performance drops by 0.9%. Practically, that fraction equates to losing 10 full days of learning over a school year. Pushing a lesson forward past the point of exhaustion causes a net loss in academic gains. Retention suffers because intentional downtime is, in fact, a fundamental biological requirement for the brain to function at its peak. In 2012, researcher Mary Helen Immordino-Yang and her colleagues at USC and MIT used fMRI scans to observe what happens when students zone out. They wanted to test the idea that a resting brain is simply cooling down. Instead of powering down, the brain enters the default mode network. In this distinct state, freed from outside stimuli, it becomes hyperactive internally. During these breaks, the brain is hard at work. It uses this specific network to make sense of complex information, reflect on experiences, and consolidate newly acquired memories. Comprehension happens within this state. The brain uses these periods to turn raw data into actual understanding. We can see this exact mechanism at the microscopic level. In 2021, neuroscientist Leonardo Cohen and his team at the National Institutes of Health scanned the brains of young adults as they learned to type with their non-dominant hand, tracking how the brain behaves during rest periods. This diagram shows the specific biological pathway of that learning process. Sensory input travels from the neocortex, the outer layer of the brain where sensory and motor skills are processed, directly into the hippocampus, which is the brain's central memory hub. Cohen's team discovered a massive speed anomaly. During a brief rest period, the brain replays the exact sequence of the newly practiced skill 20 times faster than it did during active practice. This rapid replay process is called binding. Binding is the physical mechanism that links discrete new actions, like pressing a specific piano key, into a consolidated, permanent memory. If a student does not get a physical pause, the brain never has the opportunity to execute this high-speed replay. Without binding, the new memory sequence permanently stalls and fails to store. Knowing the neuroscience allows us to design better classroom routines. Neurologist and educator Judy Willis studied these brain functions to determine exactly when and how teachers should deploy breaks. This chart shows ideal study-to-rest ratios by age. For elementary students, 10 to 15 minutes of focused study requires a 3 to 5 minute break. For middle and high schoolers, you can push focused study to 20 or 30 minutes before a 5-minute break becomes biologically necessary. These breaks require zero prep work. Letting students stand up to stretch, pairing them up for a walk, or throwing a quick dance party are all highly effective resets. Adding physical activity to these breaks provides a secondary biological benefit. Movement increases blood flow and triggers neurogenesis, the growth of new nerve cells within the hippocampus. For younger students, you can use a game called Jitter Sticks. You simply write action words on popsicle sticks, draw them from a cup, and have the students explore how to move their bodies to match the word. You can also use opposite sides, a quick coordination challenge where students have to blink their right eye while simultaneously snapping the fingers on their left hand, and then switch. Or try Statue Freeze. You ask the kids to move actively around the room, hopping or skipping, and then command them to freeze as a specific animal on the spot. These structured physical games burn off excess energy while actively priming the hippocampus, ensuring the brain is structurally ready for the next round of instruction. Getting a room full of high school juniors to play Statue Freeze is an uphill battle. Older students require a different approach. This matrix organizes 16 secondary appropriate activities. The first quadrant is creative breaks. You can give students a few minutes for open-ended doodling, quiet journaling, or a think-outside-the-box exercise, where they turn a random squiggle on the whiteboard into a complete drawing. The second quadrant relies on quick play games. You can hand out puzzle pieces for a silent jigsaw jumble, play a round of Wordle, find the AI image in an odd one out lineup, or run rapid rounds of categories and spot the differences. The third quadrant combines movement and games. In activities like Guess Who or Logo Quiz, students look at a screen and select their trivia answer by performing a specific physical exercise assigned to that choice. The final quadrant covers pure movement and calming strategies. This includes active routines like jumping jacks and stretching, or regulating activities like mindful coloring pages and guided audio meditations. These moments of rest provide the specific biological window where information is secured. Without the break, the learning remains